There's power when you say, I'm creating this world. I'm creating a world where, in our world, it's entrepreneurs can confidently grow without wasting money on advertising. What was the moment you knew you had to do a thing? What was the moment you knew you were put in that situation? You were placed with that conviction, with that life experience to have to jump out. Because what happens to entrepreneurs is that we do those, we take those leaps of faith, but very often all of the ick of doing it takes precedent and distracts us from what that original moment was. But the power of every mountain moving ad, the power of every business that grew faster than it should have, the power of referral and just true brand essence comes from that moment. Welcome to the Maven Marketing Podcast. Today is Maven Monday. I'm your host, Brandon Welch, and I'm here with my trusty co-host, Caleb Ichabod Agee.
That's me.
That's him.
I've been called that on the street before.
Yes, he has.
Out in the wild.
Yep. There's Caleb Ichabod Agee. He's that guy on the podcast.
Believe it or not, that's not what my driver's license says.
Yeah.
But
Well, he won't show it to us. So,
no.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have an important announcement.
Bring it on.
Can I get a drum roll, please?
Okay.
This is episode 52, which means we have been doing the podcast for, we can stop drum rolling now. We've been doing this podcast for 1 year.
Yeah!
We made it.
Stop what you're doing and clap. If you're driving, just start clapping right now.
Start clapping. Yeah. Get yourself a ham horn, by the way, for life's most special moments. It's called the Ham Horn app.
Yes.
Guys, we made it to 1 year. 1 year ago today, we started the Maven Marketing Podcast. We made a promise to you that this will be the place where we help you eliminate waste in advertising, grow your business, and achieve the big dream. And I'm so proud and honored that that is what we are doing.
Yeah.
We followed through.
Yes, we have.
And I don't know what the percentage is, but there's a lot of podcasts that start, and they start on, hope and a prayer and all the high energy, and then they just taper off. And with the love and support of Nate, the camera guy, with Caleb Agee's masterful planning and discipline, co-hostery, and just our whole team here at Frank and Maven, we made it a year. So
yeah,
we are going to help you, believe it or not, eliminate waste in advertising, grow your business, and achieve the big dream today. But we are going to break form, and rather than do a marketing topic, we're going to take you a little bit behind the scenes here.
Yep.
Give you a little insight as to what can happen with just an ounce of commitment and patience, and I think what I would say is a heart to do good for others.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna share where we're going from here with this podcast and what you can expect. So it's gonna be a short episode.
Yeah.
But
when you say behind the scenes, I imagine them getting to see the 19 takes it takes us to get this done.
At first it did. I think
I'm just kidding. We've gotten a lot better.
I think we canned our first 3 or 4 episodes, but that's what you have to do. You have to have the courage to do the ugly first draft.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to. I went back and listened to some of our earlier episodes the other day. It's actually a little cringy. They got good response, but for us and what we're capable of. So you have to do that. I think that's a lesson in this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lesson with any advertising. I think it's a lesson definitely in any business. And true entrepreneurs know that. They know that they need to step out and expect a net to appear underneath them. And that's scary.
Yeah. You have to try and fail and then try again.
Yeah.
And I don't think we failed, but it's just that learning from the last iteration and being a little bit better each time.
Yep.
Such a beautiful thing.
Ann Handley calls that the ugly first draft.
Yeah.
You have to have the courage to write the ugly first draft.
Yes.
And get over your analysis paralysis, get over where am I going to distribute it? How am I going to edit it? If you haven't noticed, the walls have changed 3 times since we started this podcast. The lights have gotten better. But guess what? We're at 12,000 subscribers.
Woo!
We have literally gotten emails and contacts from people all over the world. There's a fella in Australia that reached out to us the other day who's been a listener, and we're going to bring you actually some of his content, and we're going to help him fix a problem he's having live in the next couple of weeks. Romania, Europe, at least 3 continents that come to mind have joined us just because we're doing this, because we decided to put this in the world.
It's so cool.
And I think the bigger thing is going back to what we promise you every week, which is we are fulfilling our mission. And we almost named this episode The World You're Creating, because there is power when you speak. There's power when you say, I'm creating this world. I'm creating a world where, in our world, it's entrepreneurs can confidently grow without wasting money on advertising. And I don't know that we've ever stopped to say why and how that became our thing.
Yeah.
But as we tell this story, I want you to think about what was the moment you knew you had to do a thing? What was the moment you knew you were put in that situation? You were placed with that conviction, with that life experience to have to jump out. Because what happens to entrepreneurs is that we do those, we take those leaps of faith, but very often all of the ick of doing it takes precedent and distracts us from what that original moment was.
Yeah.
But the power of every mountain moving ad, the power of every business that grew faster than it should have, the power of referral and just true brand essence comes from that moment.
Yeah.
We actually call it the pissed off moment.
Yeah. And I think every
Uh,
time you hear us do the intro,
Mm.
because you've subscribed and you're going to keep coming back, right?
Yeah, you've subscribed.
But
If
every
you
time
haven't, you have now.
every
just
time you
did.
hear Brandon, I don't know if you notice, he says almost the exact same thing in some form or fashion at the beginning when he says achieve the big dream. That should be a
Mm.
trigger that you just go, boom, what's that big dream? And it should snap you out of this nose to the grindstone mentality. And you lean back and you say, oh, I remember the big dream.
Yes.
I'm there. And so want to encourage you to take that moment when you hear us monologuing. We haven't gotten into the meat of the podcast.
Yeah.
Take a moment. It's okay if you're distracted for a second while you're driving into work. Think about the big dream again.
That is truly my heart. When we talk about that confidently grow and achieve the big dream, like if 52 times this year, 52 times more than you would have, you stopped for 5 minutes and got real with your big dream, your big vision, your thing you're trying to make happen. Think about how that compounds into the first time you walk into work.
Mm-hmm.
And if you come in with a vision versus problems in your consciousness,
Yeah.
if you come in with heart that, dang it, this is hard right now. We have some clients that there's some things that are going tough, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's headwinds. And the ones that persevere and enjoy this season for what it is, a growth season of like building, are the ones that get back to that original heart. They don't lose touch with that. The ones that go in and go work it like it's a job
Mm-hmm.
are the ones that struggle. And
Yeah.
and I know that's probably cliche, but gosh dang it. Achieve the big dream is a really, really big deal to us.
Yeah.
When we see our people do that internally, externally, the clients that we serve, and yes, you on this podcast, we've heard as a result of doing this,
Yeah.
we're getting dreamers to their next step. We're getting
Mhm.
entrepreneurs of every size. We've had, startup businesses. We've had businesses that are multiple tens of millions of dollars in revenue. And that's who we work with. Like that's, from 5 million going to 100 is kind of like Frank and Maven's specialty,
Mm-hmm.
owner operator. But what I'm trying to say here is we're so thankful for the opportunity to do that. And that is what makes us do what
Yeah.
we do.
It's humbling
Caleb,
because you've got a lot going on.
I know what people are wondering though.
Yeah.
Who are you? Who do you think you are?
Yeah. Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
We're gonna tell about ourselves a little bit.
It occurred to us that like tens of thousands of people are seeing us to some degree.
Yeah.
And we actually started this just kind of speaking to the internal Frank and Maven tribe,
Yeah.
which would be hundreds of people, but this is thousands. And it's like, who are you?
Who are
yeah.
I? Yes.
There's no criminal record out there. They've looked.
Yeah.
Who do you
Yeah.
think you are?
Yeah. You looked for Caleb Ichabod AG.
Mhm.
Didn't find anything.
That's right.
That's great. No. So I am a father of 4. I have one on the way. My
Yes.
4th one is going to be here in the next 4 weeks.
Yes.
Which is just wild. We're going to be living that up. So
Joy.
I've got boy, girl, and they go from 9 to -4 weeks. And I have such a heart for being a dad. I grew up in the Springfield area. We're in Springfield, Missouri,
Mhm.
and really found myself in graphic design and web development, taught myself some of that stuff in high school, and started making websites for family and
Mhm.
friends. And
He's that guy.
marketing was just kind of a natural bent for me. And then I went into
You were a
kind of-
great communicator, though.
Oh, well,
You were
thank
a
you.
wonderful communicator.
Thank you.
And Caleb is one of the best I've ever seen at taking big ideas and breaking them down into very small, manageable pieces. I take big ideas and I make them more complicated. I take small ideas and I make them more
Make it
complicated.
you know what we could do? Yeah. So I ended up in small business. We'll talk about this. That's how I met Brandon. and had my real estate license for a hot
Mm,
minute,
mm.
and yeah, and then ended up here, and we've been doing that.
Caleb has such a heart for serving people, and there's times you look back and you realize, oh yeah, that's absolutely true. That's easy to say about you. I'm not sure I realized it in the moment why it was so natural for us to work together.
Hmm.
But Caleb serves God. Caleb serves his church. He has been a lifelong leader in at Hope Church, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I love helping
It's
out
just
my local church,
yeah,
and, my wife and I help lead worship and play, music.
hmm
Love doing that,
yeah.
and I love any sport,
So
anything outdoors, anything that makes you run around and
yeah,
move around a little bit.
he will cut you
Uh,
to win.
I'm very competitive.
Yeah, I'm
It
not actually.
I come across as pretty, maybe reserved, but
Mm,
you put me on a court or a field,
it's scary, folks.
it's gonna change. So,
Yeah.
tell me about Brandon, though.
So, yeah, I would share those first 3 or 4 identically with you.
Yeah.
Dad, husband. Caleb and I both married our high school
Yeah.
sweethearts.
We'll come
We have had one girlfriend each in our entire lives.
Yes.
And, mine started when I was 14 and yours was
We're 15.
yeah.
Yep.
And so that is actually a commonality, between, like, a lot of people that have thrived in our organization, and sometimes when we, like, look up and go, "We're really similar to a lot of people that we're thriving with," and that is often a
Mhm.
commonality, like, people who have had really strong commitments to their life partners
Mhm.
and long-standing, like, journeys. It's not exclusively a thing, but that's just kind of a neat thing to look up and go like, we looked up and, like, 7 out of 8 of our team one time had married their high school sweetheart. Kinda
Yeah.
weird thing.
So cool.
Um, you know, so I grew up in small business, which is why my heart is so tied to that. My mom and dad had several automotive businesses, and I basically started working them when I was 8 or 9 years old. Started
Mhm.
buffing cars, and I started doing all those things. Weirdly, I'm a musician, and I had a whole nother side part of my career with a music company that
Brandon is a very talented musician. He won't
um,
tell you, but make him play something for you sometime if you see
no,
him.
nobody in my family played music. Um, I just I just naturally did that. Every time I'd walk past a piano, I would end up playing on it for like an hour. And so
Yep.
parents figured better get me some lessons and all that stuff. And that's been a very big part of my life.
Yeah.
But growing up in the family business, and then actually early on getting to be part of another really cool family business, which I've shared and talked about, Palin Music Center, the
Mhm.
Palin family, let me start working in their music store when I was a kid. And so I would work for my parents, honestly, while I loved it. And I probably figured I would run that business and do that the rest of my life. I did that because I sort of had to, and then I
Mhm.
worked for the music store and the music company for several years because I wanted to, right?
Yeah.
And then, but in both areas, I grew up seeing attracted to marketing because of the creative side of things. Natural communication is kind of my thing. Words are kind of my thing. Um, and I saw this idea of advertising. I saw things that I was doing, trying and starting and spending money, and then eventually, when my parents decided to grow their business, it was like hundreds of thousands of dollars that I got to play with.
Mhm.
And it was at a time right before the '08, '09 crash, and so we had put a bunch of money in this business growth. We built a new location. We had like 40 employees, like all kinds of stuff, and I was spending money with a promise from the advertising people that it would work and it would build. And the truth is that it didn't.
Yeah.
The bad part about that is several factors, but at the time, what I believed marketing could solve, several factors ended up costing my parents a
Mhm.
big part of their big dream.
Behind your back, I call that your sad superhero origin story.
That's my origin story, man.
Yeah.
Like, and it seems maybe melodramatic. It's like, okay, you started a business and it failed. Like, what are you gonna drag that out? And it's like, um, yeah, I'm not trying to like be some
No, but it
um, sap story, but when you are living something 80 hours a week because it's consumed you and that's your business and that's your mission and that's your people and that's all the world is on your shoulders,
Mhm.
and then when that gets knocked out from under you and you experience the embarrassment, the failure, the
Yeah.
shame, the regret of that, that
Yeah.
is a um I didn't plan on saying this. That truly creates a mental event that can actually literally be literally be life altering.
Mhm.
Because most entrepreneurs maybe get 4 or 5 shots in their life to start something new. And that was the big one for my dad.
Mhm.
And to watch that and be so wanting for that and so sad and sorry that didn't happen,
Yeah.
not to drag that out, but guys, that's the ember that went, crap. What do I have to do for that never to happen again for
Y
somebody else?
yeah.
That was my pissed off moment.
Yep.
Origin story, whatever.
Yep.
And so I've been there, and and for me, I kind of got this vendetta against all of this hype and all of these one-liners and all these like empty statements that the industry has trained marketing salespeople to do,
Mhm.
right? And these are some of my best friends. I was one of those people because after I lost the job, the company, I was on my honeymoon and came back to no job, and the company was getting sold off, and we were liquidating things. And
Yep.
I was newly married, I was broke, I had nothing going for me except for being married to
Yeah.
a pretty good gal. And so anyway, um, I went to sell advertising because that was the door that was open,
Yeah.
and pretty quickly I saw first of all, 100% like a huge, huge, huge blessing. Like top 5 blessings of my whole life was getting to do that,
Yeah.
especially for the company I got to do it for. But I did see this recent experience of, gosh, I spent a bunch of money and it didn't work. And then this fresh experience of now I'm the one that has to go sell it to keep my job
You're
and
asking for bunches of money
asking for bunches of
from
money. And
little Brandons all over
yeah,
town.
and I was so close and like tied in with that like failure and like hate that it didn't work out.
Yeah.
That my natural thing to make myself be able to sleep at night is I had to figure out how to make it work
Mhm.
in a real way. Like even to the level like a lot of people don't take advertising that seriously. They figure, I'll just do it. My business is growing along. It's just a tax I pay. I got to do a little something. And they don't ever spend too much time fretting about it. Now, some of them fret a lot about it because they spend big money and it doesn't work and it leads to debt and all
Big
that stuff.
problems. Yep.
Big problems. But I was like, even for the people who are like, hey, it's okay. We just tried it and it didn't work. I'm like, no, like I lost sleep over that stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so 2 hours a day, we'd go in and study. I would read ads, read ads, read ads, read ads. I was like, I didn't go to college or I went to, I got an associate's degree or whatever, but I didn't go to like real college, right?
Mhm.
That was my college.
Yeah.
Um, the 2 hours a day I put into like hardcore learning and then immediately going at 8 a.m. when my sales gig started, going and putting this stuff in the real world.
Mhm.
So, um, that led to me eventually figuring out a pretty good way to make it work. Like I knew how to make marketing work. If somebody came to me, their business was going to grow faster,
Mhm.
and got that reputation and people outside of my town, literally coast to coast through a series of really God things that just paired our I guess case studies with people who needed what I was doing.
Mhm.
Called me, and I ended up with this kind of part-time side gig,
Mhm.
being a consultant and an ad guy and writing ads. And an agency started. The world gave me no choice but to start an agency,
Yep.
and had a great year in sales. In that TV year, I was like a top producer in the company I was working for, and I had a brand new kid, and I had obviously wife and all that, and I had to choose between. I was working like 30 hours extra a week on my side business, and I loved it, but
Mhm.
I had to choose one, and so I chose this one. And like 2 weeks in, I had like 20 clients that were like on fire, wanted to support me, wanted to do all the things we were doing.
Yeah.
And I'm driving down Campbell Street in our town, and I was like, I have got to have somebody that can do the digital side of this. I've got
Mhm.
to have somebody who's smart, who's capable. And a couple years before, I'd met this fella named Caleb.
Oh, man.
And in his own way, he was working for a small business that I was helping in the advertising side.
Yeah.
And in his own way, he had some marketing struggles. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
What
and
What do you think? Who am I? What do you think of me?
this was when Brandon was, media sales guy, Brandon. And so, the business owner that I was working for would be like, "Hey, this Brandon guy, he knows what he's talking about. So you need to meet with him and learn a little bit more about our social and our website and get his thoughts on." And we were doing TV at the time as well, and so Brandon would come by and we'd meet. We had lunch a few times.
Mm.
He would sneakily bring Andes by from time to time. So it was beneficial. There was also I'm gonna share a quick funny story. My wife worked there.
Yeah.
My wife and I have worked together 3-4 times. She worked at the agency for
And
a
they're still
little
married.
bit, and we're still married.
You heard it here.
It works. It works for us. But Brandon walked in. We were only engaged, I believe, at that point.
Mm.
Brandon came in one day and told our boss. He's like, "Well, I caught him making out in the closet."
I did.
And she
I actually didn't.
and he didn't. Yeah, it wasn't real. Like we were
Yeah.
working, and she just happened to
I was
not
just
be
trying to be
there.
funny,
And he
yeah.
was being funny, and she took him so seriously. And she's like, "What? Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
It's
If I had $1 for every time that happened here.
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It was
So,
it
yeah.
was so funny. But that's when we met, and Brandon's driving down Campbell Street. Tell him what happens next.
Well, I remember thinking I need somebody who can do a little bit of everything. Like I just need somebody who's just smart in every category, and
Doesn't need to be great at
and
anything.
I hadn't talked to Caleb in a couple of years at this point. But I'm driving down and I'm kind of scrolling through my phone book, and I didn't even get to his name, but I was like Caleb, and so I found his name down the list.
I'm not far. It's a C and an A. So
Yeah, so
usually.
I dialed him and I left a voicemail that went like, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I'm starting this little advertising company, and I just thought of you because I thought you might want to come work
Yeah.
for me." And it was just like probably the least confident
Yeah.
voicemail I've ever led. And you texted or called me back, and like 3 weeks later, you were working for us, even though I think we met up at a Mexican restaurant. And just so you know, Frank and Maven started in the back corner office of an insurance agent who had an extra office because I couldn't afford
It was
rent.
like a room this size.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This might be bigger. Seriously.
Yeah.
An old house that had been turned into an insurance agency. He wanted to rent us something that was like had 3 rooms. I was like, I can't afford that. And so for like $150 a month or something, we got his back office and we shared it for a while.
Yeah.
And so
we met at the Mexican restaurant just up the street, and you were kind of gesturing to the office, but you never took me there.
That's my car.
And like, hey, the office over there.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, "Well, what's the,
Yeah.
what's it like?" And I was like, "I don't know. We didn't go." She's like, "You didn't see the
They don't even
office?"
have an office. Yeah.
I was like, "Well, I think they do. I think that." So
Yeah.
it was. I bought them sight unseen.
Yeah.
Basically.
So Caleb became the first. I think you were a web designer at that point.
Yeah.
And then he became everything like 3 positions ahead of when we could actually hire for it. Meaning, he worked every job that he had to for us to be successful. And he saw it at the very, very, very beginning. And it's just, I think it's rare. I'm not going to take an ounce of credit for this. I think it's so, 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 so rare. While I'm grateful and I know we built something wonderful, but I kind of sort of believe if you found anywhere decent to work, that's how you would be. I think you would be working for them for a long time because that's who you are. And guys, the idea of commitment, talk about wasting money in advertising. The biggest waste, like there's tactics and information and things you can use to make ads perform better. But the biggest waste in advertising is actually because of lack of commitment. Because business owners get too quick to make decisions. They don't view that experience of advertising as bonding with a human being. They view it as an act of transaction, money in and customer out.
Yep.
And that is a complete byproduct. The truth is, even when it's not done right and you happen to get results, that's just a byproduct of a bond you made. A confidence, a relationship, a trust factor, even an awareness factor. It's the transaction is a byproduct of what's really happened is the bond, right? And so you guys want to talk about commitment, this podcast, I think a big reason why we have the amount of subscribers we have and the weekly listeners is that commitment is a real thing. And so just gut check what's not working for you right now. And are you committed to that thing, that customer, that outcome, that partner, that business promise in a way that the healthiest relationships are connected?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's it.
People stay together because they decide to stay together because they're committed to a giant cause, a bigger thing.
Yeah.
How's your commitment level to your bigger thing? This is a very big part of our bigger thing because why we've done this is because we have we've had as many as 100 clients at a time, and that did not allow us to do our best work. So a few years ago, we got really selective about the ones that we knew we were a perfect fit for,
Mhm.
and that could do the things that we know we're the best in the world at.
Yes.
And the others, we just started helping along coaching, and
Mhm.
we've had hundreds. Literally, we've said, you know what, we're not the right partner for you. Do this instead. First step was we wrote a book
Mhm.
about our process and how to get the results we get for these companies that are growing, by 5, 6, 7, 8 times bigger than they were when they started with us.
Yeah.
10 times in a lot of cases, by the way. I looked at the growth of one the other day, and it was 19x from when we started with them.
That's
Isn't that
crazy.
crazy?
That's so crazy.
Anyway, that's what we do. We wrote a book, and then we're like, you know what? Weekly encouragement is what entrepreneurs need. And that's why we did this podcast.
Mhm.
We hold nothing back. You guys are seeing,
Yeah, we don't have any trade secrets.
yeah,
We give them
yeah.
all away all the time.
In our client relationships, a lot of stuff you hear here come from like real conversations we had in our boardroom down the hall,
Yeah.
our conference room, or our Zoom meetings or whatever. And to get that on a one-on-one level for us is an expensive commitment,
Mhm.
investment, we'll call it.
Yeah.
But you guys get it free because that is our heart, and that's the world we're creating.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it was really hard for us when we had to start making that decision to it
Stop
was it,
stop serving
to
some
stop
people.
serving everybody.
Yeah,
We truthfully would try to help every single person, and I believe even when we just have a conversation, we leave somebody better than we found them. But
that's the thing. Yeah.
um, we can't sign what we call partnership. We can't partner with every single
Mm,
client because it just isn't reasonable. And that's not of good service to the organization, Frank and Maven, like our
yes.
agency and the team, to just stretch ourselves really thin doing a lot of things kind of good. We're going to
Yeah.
do a few things really, really well. And um, along the way, we're like, well, what about this instance? We really want to help them. And so we started asking, like, how can
Yes.
we help? And that's where this podcast and all these things have come
Yep.
from and we've got some more things coming up
Yeah.
to help even more.
So, yeah, I would just put a bow on that before we talk about what's up next, and then we'll let you guys go for the week. Um, the Maven Marketing Podcast is a place where we help you eliminate waste in advertising, grow your business so you can achieve the big dream.
Hmm.
That's the big idea, right? Every week we come with interviews with other CEOs or topics from our literal experience in growing businesses
Hmm.
so that you can walk away refreshed for your week, solving problems that um, you encounter along the way, avoiding the hype that's in the marketing world. That's a huge thing. Cutting through all of the crap so that okay, I actually can focus on these things and I can ignore these things.
Yep.
And then making a more quality commitment to your customer than any of your competitors are doing.
Yeah.
That is that's the essence of what makes Frank and Maven work.
Yep.
We make people famous. We make them very easy to find. And we make it very easy for people to take the next step to do business with them.
That's it.
And if this is your first time, you probably clicked away a long time ago because we talked all about us. We don't do that. It's the only time we've ever done this, and we won't do that again. But that's our promise to you.
Yeah.
So from here, we're going to tweak it a little bit. We're going to make it mo better.
Always
Tip to Joel Carter, mo better.
a little bit better.
Guys, we're going to bring a Maven marketing mastermind. So if you're going, hey, the podcast is great, I read a lot of books and all that, but I need just a little bit of help, a little bit of somebody looking over my shoulder, or being a marketer is lonely sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
If you're stuck inside of a business where you are the guy that's anything that's marketing, they throw it to you.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing the business cards, you're writing the ads, you're doing the social media posts, you're doing the Google Analytics, and then when the boss comes in and has some big crazy wild idea, or when there's a problem, they go, "What's been going on with our marketing?"
Yeah.
Like that's why we're here for this podcast.
Yeah.
But we're going to create a way for you guys to get a little bit extra care and attention in that way.
Yeah.
And it's called the Maven Marketing Mastermind.
Bring it on. It's gonna be so good.
Insert ham horn.
Bow, bow, bow.
Yep. And so a couple of times a month, you're going to get full access to our team. I mean, clients literally pay tens of thousands of dollars for that privilege.
Yeah.
But as a group, a mastermind group, you're going to get to join other business owners across America, people we're already in dialogue with that just kind of need extra help. Some of our core clients actually will be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
People who've lived and breathed and used our stuff over the years. They want it for the community aspect. So it'll be a small monthly fee to be a part of that, but
Mhm.
you're going to get so much value out of just bringing the thing you're working on and having us, yes, but also other peers, other marketers from around the country, maybe even
Yeah.
the world,
Yeah.
jump in and give you their insight. And that perspective, that objective third party look is valuable no matter what, but
Yeah.
it's so much more valuable when you have people who have kind of an underlying baseline wisdom
Yeah.
about marketing or experience, right?
Yep.
And so that is coming. You'll hear more about that starting in these episodes.
Yes.
We're going to be making ads for the mastermind.
Very, very soon.
We're going to bring more CEOs in. I have like a list of 13 or 14 CEOs that are like really, really good at certain things.
Mhm.
And so probably a couple times a month, you're going to see like guys that have done it. Not just us flapping our jaws about what you should do, but guys and gals,
Mhm.
emphasis on the gals.
Yeah.
They're going to love a couple of the ladies we're going to bring in here.
Yeah.
That have grown wonderful companies and fulfilled awesome missions.
Yeah.
And then I think in the in-betweens, we love doing this so much. We've gotten to where we have some 30 and 40-minute episodes.
Mhm.
We're going to teach some topics a little tighter.
Yeah.
When Caleb and I are on, it's going to be a little bit more practical and tactical because our average time listening falls off. We think it's about the time that it takes an owner operator to drive from home to work or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't think it means we have bad content. I just think that we're going to give you guys the punchy stuff a little bit,
Meat and potatoes.
meat and potatoes, a little quicker,
Yeah.
a little less fluff on the in-betweens. The CEO interviews will be what they are,
As long as they need to be.
as long as they need to be. We can challenge ourselves to teach the topics a little tighter, though.
Yeah.
So, you have anything else to say?
Thank you. That's the best I got. Is thank you for trusting us. Thank you for coming back. We're just a couple of guys who love marketing and
Love people.
We love people.
Small
we wanna,
businesses. Yeah.
we don't come from the agency world. A lot of marketing agencies are founded by people who were in another agency and then they left to start their own. We come from the small business world and happen to do marketing. And so we love small business owners and we want to just help you as much as we can. So if there's ever anything that we can help you with, please email us, mavenmarketing@frankandmaven.com. If you have a question, you have, I think people are
Maven
maybe
Monday at frankandmaven.com.
Did I say Maven Marketing?
Yeah. Maven Monday at frankandmaven.com.
Maven Monday at frankandmaven.com. I'll make a catch-all email for the other one. But I just really encourage you to send in your questions. You don't have to be afraid or scared. If we need more information, we'll reach out. We'll reach out to you.
Yeah.
And we would love to just help you live. We can keep it anonymous if you don't want to, share your name.
Yeah. That would be our default, by the way.
Yeah.
We always
get permission before we say somebody's name or where they're from or
if
what
your
company.
boss is challenging you with some really ridiculous marketing thing, we won't tell them who you are.
Yeah, bring it on. And we'd love to help you because that's exactly why we're here. So that's what I got.
We will be back every Monday answering your real life marketing questions because marketers who can't teach you why
are just a fancy lie.
Have a great week and thank you so much.